Welcome back, everyone, to Sovereign Peacekeeping Matters discussion podcast. This is a part of two parts of an episode, 21A and 21B, for the fall 2014 review. We're going to look at this season that is ultimately sparse of direct PKTF content. There should be no surprise for those who already do review these Federation articles. As early on in 2014, having no peacekeeping task force element chartered or even conceptualized at that point. But nevertheless, it's still important for the early signals it gives, these articles this season, around jurisdiction, law enforcement, and public authority. So let's get into it. The first part, we have 6 parts here, ultimately is why this season matters. We're going to go into the second part is why this season matters. But 2014, as we know, it doesn't provide a large-scale PKTF-style doctrine, but it does lend itself, this being this season, and these articles, which are 111 in total. I think 112, Article 112 kicked off, was published in December 22nd, which was the first day of winter time in that season, 2014. But it does, however, the season here show the kinds of lawful and legal bantering back and forth, the blending, the blurring of the concepts of the two not being the same, one being ultimately superior and the other inferior, but both having their place. So it's the jurisdictional back and forth is what these articles provide. And then public authority tensions, peacekeeping task force should stay alert to. The season also helps define the broader environment in which PKTF or peacekeeping in general concerns begin to sharpen. And it's worth reviewing all such articles, but combining them all and surmising them in a seasonal approach, dozens and dozens of articles, it's always worth reviewing because even sparse material can reveal early warning signs. And so that's why we approach the review of these articles in this manner. Jurisdictional boundaries is another reason why this season matters. And the articles provides a strong theme in the season, as is the question of where authority begins and ends. Many of these articles touching jurisdiction, making it clear that authority is not supposed to be limitless. And that is a major PKTF concern because peacekeeping depends on lawful boundaries. So we're going to, through these articles, these 111, we see the struggle with trying to express these concerns to the world stage and to those who those articles were written for, and for those who they were written, what were their reply, which is the most significant part of these publications. And so that's what they were. None of these articles, none of this material was published for just to be published and as some type of spectator material. They had a purpose. They still have a purpose, certainly then, and they had an audience. So we'll start to notice where the material and the publications and the content actually becomes more substantial. And as the content evolves through the years, because there is collaboration taking place, although, looking at the articles, we're not getting a back and forth, so just keep that in mind. The articles are not accompanied by a reply back and forth. So just know that, be encouraged to know that, yes, there is collaboration and always has been. It's just not as significant as one would think while reviewing the articles. So we're getting a kind of a linear, one-way read of each article as they're being published. Another reason why this season matters discusses law enforcement and the evidence. So law enforcement and providing evidence to law enforcement. What is then law enforcement expected to do with such evidences of crimes? This is another great point, because within these 111 articles, you're going to, as you yourself review, and as at some point when we have to circle back to this season and extract a certain article that's relevant to current times, you'll in a combination of us doing that and readers also reviewing themselves in these earlier articles and seeing the relevancy between law enforcement being provided evidence firsthand, maybe even secondhand evidence, and what does law enforcement do with, what are they expected to do with such evidence. Some of these articles point to the way law enforcement handles evidence and procedure. And this matters because evidence does not belong to rumor, speculation, or public pressure. It belongs in the lawful chain of custody and review. Another part of some of these articles deals with sheriff relevance. And the sheriff remains, as we should know and should appreciate always, is that the sheriff remains the clearest local authority figure worth watching in this kind of material. And that is going to be the main focus. As far as the Peacekeeping Task Force is always, our first main focus is to the first and only county guardian elected by the sovereign men and women from each and every county. So that's always going to be a really good way to recalibrate our focuses, knowing that our first outreach is to our sheriffs. And PKTF should be mindful of any article that would imply local protection, lawful enforcement, or the preservation of peace. Always, as a matter of not just ourselves as helping direct this particular organization, but everyone in general. So your and our firm aiming point will always be on what is the expectation of the service of the county sheriff. Now, before we go into the forward-looking value of how we move forward into the next season, I want to share this because this is our first season overview. And yes, we want to provide the waypoints or the phase lines in between the articles within each season. So I'm going to go through, before we go to the forward-looking value, I'm just going to read a few of the titles of some of the articles that you will find that stops within that season. And if you're not familiar with the days beginning and the ending between each season, which is our phase line, I'm going to read a few of the titles of some of the articles as well as the article number as they're listed from the source. And then from there you can consider looking in, and also expect us to also look into those same articles, although we're not going to be dissecting those articles, any of the 111, although we have touched upon a few. I believe Article 27, we left off with Article 28, which even Article 28 bears a review. But all of these articles has an element of intrigue that leads up to, again, the inception and conception of the Peacekeeping Task Force. So it shouldn't be any wonder why the Peacekeeping Task Force came to be, because of all of these articles over the years has culminated into the need for such an organization as the Peacekeeping Task Force. So just give me a moment and I'll read some of the article titles for you. So going up to the last day, or the last couple of days in the fall season of 2014, we have Article 111. How can you help us make peace and real freedom in the world? That's one. Article 109, criminals on our shores. So if you're hearing peace as a beckoning, and then reports of criminals or criminal behavior on our shores. You're going to hear that trajectory, or sense which trajectory we should be bringing our concerns, especially if we were those who wrote such articles having, or content therefore having evidence, and evidence needing to be delivered to a particular office. And we know that office to be, of course, the sheriff. Next, we'll have Article 98, Dear Federal Agents. Article 97, Open Letter to a Sheriff, being Sheriff Ward. We have Article 90, titled Be Aware, a Huge War is Going On. I mean, without even going into any of the content of these articles, which are all in PDF format, mind you, but even just the title, this is something that's really easy to envision the content, and the content being, or what's expected to be of the content, titling each page or each publication. Anything that has to do with warnings of warring, anything having to do with an outreach to federal agents, all agents being subcontractors, and at the level of the federal government, we start to really be really quite easily determine what the theme is. And since we are of the content, and since we are looking at a season, I'm trying to share with all of you so you can kind of appreciate this softball-sized conglomerate of text and content, and just joining us in our efforts to read the essence of the season of what the articles were about. Another one is Article 79, the correct gun control argument. Another is Article 71, which is an argument regarding jurisdictions, what we talked about earlier as part of the reasons why this season matters, and all seasons. But Article 71 being the 14th Amendment hoax, and on and on. So, and then we start to go into some of the articles that we have already touched on. I think 85 we touched on, and 80 we covered in previous episodes. And that's when we realized we probably maybe should start to go back to the very, very first article. And that showed to be quite a daunting task as well. So, yes, Article 85, the importance of county sheriffs. So this is one of the first articles we noticed we needed to discuss in detail. But we couldn't discuss all in detail, although we would like to. We just ran the logistics, and this would take us even to the point of when we realized, which is a couple of months ago, that if we were to give our time and ask of you your time to hear our review, essentially all of these articles at that time would have taken about 7 years. And so we abandoned that approach and took on the approach of encompassing the seasons and then estimating the content by going through the various articles that jump out at us based on the title. Also, word searches also definitely helps to try to narrow in on these articles. Quite obviously, covering nearly 5,800 articles from the first article is just not conducive with our time. And when we get up into the areas of year 2021 and 2022, it's going to be even more easy to identify which articles we should actually go through paragraph by paragraph. And so by taking the forward-looking value where we are now, we can know that this season, although it may not be operationally rich, it does help lay the groundwork of needing an organization such as the Peacekeeping Task Force. I can hardly wait to actually lay out the dynamics and the parameters of what the Peacekeeping Task Force is to this day, And I hope everyone can appreciate the challenge that it is to position ourselves looking over all of these articles and trying to find the best way to keep our own due diligence intact as we attempt to try to cover each article, knowing that it's not logistically possible or even reasonably possible to go through each article. Although we would like to, and in another opportunity, or if we had a larger staff that could actually provide the percentage and substantive value of each article that pertains to the Peacekeeping Task Force, even before it existed, then yes, that would be a great resource. But we unfortunately do not have that resource or that particular level of manpower at the moment. But do keep in mind that if later events, as we discover them later being in subsequent seasons, years following this particular timeline, 2014 each year, 15, 16, 17, and 18, and 19, or if in the here and now, if we find some relevance of what previous articles has shown in the here and now and attempt to share the contest between the two or the relevancy between the two timelines, we will certainly do that. And we will do that. And each one of these articles that we are already aware of can be revisited and will be. Peacekeeping Task Force should and will keep those as a reference category in all of these seasons rather than focusing any of them into a doctrine they do not yet support. And that is and has been the challenge. And how do we embrace these articles in the manner that they should, that's the useful and are interesting due to, first of all of these articles are very interesting. But when they don't have a call out for peacekeeping in the moment, so it's you can see the complexity on trying to substantiate each and every episode with each and every potential article. So just keep that in mind. Each one of the seasons will be the same type of approach. And while we're trying to juggle with that, those logistics, we will also be providing other articles or other episodes that cater to the here and now. We have an observation perspective type of episode. We have questions and answers as well as side episodes, special type episodes. As well, we also have podcast development episodes. Let us know how we're doing so far type episodes. Just a few types of special episodes that helps break the strain on the main episodes, which are fiduciary office articles. And I think that's about it. Let me see here. As far as the different types of special episodes. Oh, I beg your pardon. We actually have a couple more. So we do have our assembly ledger. So we're going to have episodes, podcasts that talk about the assembly ledger build out. We might even put this in between 21B. Don't quite know yet. But that's going to be another accent type of special podcast that we have. And they all blend together. All of the episodes follow numeric order, but they will have a segmented episode A, B, and so on. If they are episodes that follow a series. We also have the political status research dealing with the sovereign citizen pejorative and dismantling that constructed weaponization of oxymoronic words. And that's really interesting. Plenty of content on that one. We also have, as far as American sovereign peacekeeping matters, a special podcast for those who would like to provide any thumbnails. So those out there who have an eye for making thumbnails for episodes, certainly provide those. You can listen to the new exclusive episode. I believe it's episode 13. No, this is actually a new exclusive episode, so it was brand new between episode 13 and episode 14. You'll see the new exclusive upcoming discussion. That one is Ex parte Milligan memorandum published. So this is something that this is an opportunity for episodes that are accentuating the main theme of our episodes, Federation articles review, where we talk about certain aspects of where we are now. So what the Peacekeeping Task Force works on now. And we do funnel our work in an official capacity through an official memorandum, a policy format. These are our version of publications, not articles, but actually official memorandum. And so those particular types of exclusives, we will provide those as well. And so this one we still owe our audience from March 5th, the upcoming discussion, Ex parte Milligan memorandum. So as you can see, we have plenty of accentuating type other episodes or inserts, podcast episode inserts in between the numeric rollout of each episode, and that is one of those. So do check that out, and that is a reminder for us to actually, where we take the opportunity to answer people's questions, and if they would like to also provide a thumbnail while they're waiting for the opportunity for us to go over some of that content. This is one of the ways that we offer that opportunity. And then you will see an example of, on the March 5th new exclusive episode, of a thumbnail that was provided to us. So thank you for that. And yes, we have our episodes, questions and answers. Questions and answers episodes are where we go through not just answering questions in a comment section, but actually lifting those, embracing each one of those questions. And if we have enough content on those, we'll actually provide an episode attempting to answer those questions. And we do have a couple already in the queue as questions that are needing to be answered in that manner, and so we'll provide that as well. And I know we did go through some of those breakdowns already regarding some of the episodes that we've had. Keep in mind, again, this is a brand new podcast. It's never been done before that I know of to this level and embracing this type of content. So it definitely we thought it best to take the opportunity to provide you and our audience within the realm of federal agencies and departments, offices, bureaus, and services, and provide those our perspective, our professional perspective, in a candid manner, and that is fair and balanced and neutral, and share with all of those folks and all of you, our sovereign listeners and our citizens in the de facto realm, all are included in hearing our perspective on this, and knowing that it hasn't been offered before is something really fresh and unique. So we're really excited to have this opportunity. And thank you to all of our listeners who subscribe and who download. I think download is a type of, I think it's just when you listen to any one of these episodes, it's called a download. I don't quite know what that means yet. Again, more just showing that the podcast scene is new to me for sure. And then Podbean, really durable mobile platform, but really excited to be in a position to provide these. I did want to provide that extra time reiterating the types of current episode themes that we have available for you. But this does wrap up episode 21A of Sovereign Peacekeeping Matters discussion podcast. Fall 2014, again, does not give us all full peacekeeping, a full peacekeeping breakdown. And we'll also see that as we wrap up with episode 21B. But it does highlight the early tension points around jurisdiction, law enforcement, evidence, and authority that matter to our work. So just know that that's going to be the same approach as we pick and choose through certain articles with subsequent seasons, and then also wrap up each season with a summation of what is provided there and surmise as best we can what the potential percentage of peacekeeping significance of each season, and knowing, yes, for sure, every one of these articles has a type of necessity, because remedy is being sought because of each one of these articles. Remedy is being sought, pursued, it's being demanded in various ways. It's being insisted upon based on practices of self-governance, and just the passing of many, many decades of where these authors found themselves at that time. And so it would be just immoral and just irresponsible to shun any of these articles for the purpose of what they are expressing. And so with that said, and taking on a theme and keeping that theme, keeping it in mind as we move forward through the archives, just know that that's what our purpose is. If I need to, I'll say, guys, go back to listen to 21A and hear yet again how we're trying to maneuver through each one of these articles, but the seasons of where they were published and when. So until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and keep peacekeeping firmly and focused. Thank you. See you next time.